Hey everybody, I'm Aaron Simmons. This is Philosophy for Where We Find Ourselves, June 16th, 2020. Today we're continuing on in our discussion of midlife, the challenges that attend it, and maybe some philosophical resources that can help us navigate those challenges. Today I want to talk about the idea of epistemic humility, that those to whom we looked as models for right living seem not to in fact have it all figured out, and then we realize that neither do we. This is the idea of we might call a sort of imposter syndrome relative to adulthood. Now, I think a lot of us figured that there would be some sort of light switch, upon college graduation or when you turn 30 or maybe even 35, where you suddenly go flip and you are now an adult. It just doesn't work that way. My grandma, when she turned 80, I remember asking her, "Grandma, what's it feel like to be 80? And she said, "Look, it feels just like when I was 18. It's just my body doesn't work so well." And I think there's a real wisdom there. Instead of recognizing ourselves as somehow bad adults because we don't have it all figured out, or looking to our mentors and seeing them as imposters as well, we instead should understand that they in fact did what adulting requires. It is the ability, the fortitude, the perseverance to be able to stand even when you don't have certainty, to move forward with confidence that is anchored in the humility of the vulnerable human condition. I think, in fact, one of the great ways to understand this is a quote I heard recently, I'm not sure of the source, where it says, "Adolescents are those who recognize their parents are imperfect. Mature adults are those who then forgive their parents for that imperfection because they recognize the imperfection in themselves." I think that's exactly right. None of this, by the way, is about an erosion of competence. I think competence is one of the three key requirements of true leadership. But competence based in years of training and experience and the hard work required to have gained the awareness required to move forward on purpose, that's different than a certainty that your decisions are obviously correct. How do we cultivate this humility, this awareness that we don't have it all figured out, without giving in to the despair that just no one does? I think there are two philosophical resources here to which we can turn. First, Ludwig Wittgenstein reminds us that in fact philosophers should greet each other with the words, "Take your time." In other words, let's challenge the idol of capitalistic speed. It's not important that we be fast. It's important that we be good. Now, sometimes there are moments and decisions that are required in real time, that we don't have the luxury of thinking about it for a long time. Taking our time is not a challenge to making decisions quickly. It's simply an erasure of the idea that it's okay to make quick decisions. We've got to make decisions that are anchored and rooted in intentional thinking, in wisdom that precedes us. The second thought comes from Edmund Husserl. Husserl suggests that we are always perpetual beginners. When we are willing to say, "I'm doing the best I can where I am, but I also am able to own the responsibility to then interrogate myself and try to do better tomorrow," that's when we show the maturity required of leadership. Refusing to own the responsibility of that maturity, that in fact is arrogance and egoism, and those people should not be allowed to lead. But if we are anchored and rooted in practices of slowness, in intentional living, we also can cultivate the humility required to recognize that we must make decisions with confidence, even when we do not have the certainty which we desire. I hope this is helpful. Take your time today, and I'll see you tomorrow, unless a piano falls on our heads.